Effective language learning. Do you have a philosophy for how languages should be learned or taught? You may not consciously be aware of it, but you do. I want to explore some of the possibilities in this two-part video series so that you can spend some time consciously thinking about your philosophy of learning or teaching. Let's start with what makes an effective language learner. Do you think they should be intelligent, meaning that they score well on intelligence tests? Should they be polite or stubbornly persistent? Do they sit and listen quietly in class, or are they actively asking questions, even if it seems to interrupt? Do they give up easily? Are they stopped by rejection or periods of lack of progress? There's no doubt that culture will influence our beliefs in learning and teaching. So what I present here has support from research, but mostly should be considered what is necessary to know for success in U.S. classrooms. There's no indication that special intelligence is required for learning languages. So someone considered an average student in most subjects can be as successful at learning an additional language as the student who usually gets an outstanding score. The caveat to this is that there are some individuals who seem to have a gift, or what's called an aptitude, for learning languages. Don't compare yourself to them. They're the exception and not the norm. Being an active learner in the classroom is considered essential in the United States. That means that learners should ask questions, and even though teachers may not always be happy about it, the learners who are most successful are stubborn enough to keep asking and interrupting until they get their answer. What are some other characteristics of active learners? Some basic answers include taking notes, completing homework on time, being prepared for class, being willing to be the first person in a group to talk, and being willing to keep group conversations going by asking questions of classmates. Questions are related to the topic, of course. Another aspect that is closely related is being willing to take risks. Many people are risk averse, which means they try to avoid risk. But those people will struggle in language learning. Language learners take risks every time they use the new language. But if they don't use it, then progress will be slow and difficult. Most growth occurs by producing the language. Besides risking speaking incorrectly, there's also the risk that a native speaker will not want to spend time talking with someone who's struggling with the language. For example, if I send learners out to complete a survey with native speakers, I warn them that some or even most of the people they approach may not want to answer the survey. This shouldn't be taken personally. The other person may be busy or they may be shy. It doesn't matter. The important thing is to keep trying, to keep asking. The same concept applies for trying to make new friends in a new country. You need to be the one willing to risk rejection if you want to meet new people. Some will work out and some will not. But if you don't try, then none will work out. Persistence, then, is another aspect of language learning. Learning a new language does not happen at a consistent rate all the way through. There are days, weeks, or months where a learner may not see much growth. But the brain continues to process and subconsciously is working out patterns. Then, eventually, you begin to see improvement. Learners have to be persistent to continue through the downs as well as the ups of language learning. This connects to motivation. If your motivation is just that you think a new language will be fun, then you may have problems making it all the way to communicative competence. If you need the language for work, study, or for travel, then you have a better chance of being successful in language learning. Lastly, successful language learners use what they learn and even teach it to others. Maybe they go home and teach it to a parent, or maybe they help explain it to another classmate who doesn't understand yet. But they find some way to use it and or teach it. So in summary, what are key factors for successful language learning? Being an active learner, willing to take risks, who is persistent and motivated, and who immediately uses or teaches what they just understood. The next video in this series looks at effective language teaching.